Welcome to Chicago. Now what you said. The topic is supposed to be Sfira Shavuos, right? We're headed toward Shavuos is less than 2 weeks away. But really, Shavuos starts from Purim, right? It's been an ongoing process to where we are today. And let's examine it. Some topics will be Kabbalah, but they will be explained as they apply to us practically, okay? So don't get nervous if you hear some Kabbalistic ideas. Pesach is when we got our freedom, we became a nation, right? The night of Pesach. The Arizal explains, and the Mishnah Berurah actually brings this too, so it's not so Kabbalah, but the Arizal explains that the halacha is 30 days before a Yontif, you should start studying the halachas of that Yontif. So 30 days before Pesach is Purim, so that every year comes Purim, we begin our exodus from the exile that we're in. The exile being the character traits that were not perfected yet, the exile being where we are as a nation and so on and so forth. Then comes the night of Pesach, right? And we make a Seder, right? Order. We have an order in our house for the first time, after a whole month of cleaning and who knows what, we think we have an order. But day after Pesach, we start counting Sfira leading up to Shavuos. What happens Pesach night when we have a Seder? The Kabbalah explains that it's really Shaloika Seder. It's not in order. The night of Pesach, we were so far from Hashem. We were in the 49th level of impurity, and that nothing could really help us. Only Hashem took us out. We say that in the Haggadah, right? Only Hashem took us out of Egypt and so on and so forth. Why? Hashem disturbed and changed the entire order of nature in order for us to be able to get out of Egypt. So when we sit down to a Seder, it's really because Hashem made a Shaloika Seder, not in order. Everything kind of mixed up. But you can't live without order, right? You need an orderly fashion, you need an orderly set of results in order to be able to bring you to where you want to go. You need order. So the day after Pesach, we start counting the Omer. And we count 49 days until we reach that 50th level, which is Shavuos. Clear till now? Right? Okay. So now let's go try and understand. When the Jews left Egypt, the Pasuk says, Hashem nosan es chein ha'om hazeh be'enei Mitzrayim. Hashem gave the grace of Am Yisrael in the eyes of Egypt, and they all left with gold, silver, clothes, everything that they needed, everything that they would want. They left Egypt with a tremendous amount of booty. Chen. Hashem gave them chen. What is chen? Grace. Favor. You find favor in the eyes of somebody else, even if you're not deserving, which we weren't. We were in the 49th level of impurity. We were not in a favorable situation, but Hashem gave us favor. We left Egypt. Chaim. What is chaim? What is favor? What is grace? Right? The Gemara says, for example, Esther was not very attractive. Queen Esther was not very attractive, right? But she was motzah chaim in the eyes of Achashverosh. She found favor, right? Of all the women that Achashverosh took, Esther found favor. So he took chaim. What is chaim? Rebbe Nachman explains in his first lesson of Likutei MoHaRan. He says, through Torah, when a person has Torah, then all our prayers can be accepted. All our prayers. So, why is that? Because the Torah is called Ya'alas Chaim. It brings grace upon a person. Somebody who studies and he acts like a rabbi should, he acts like a Jew should. Yeah, I have that one down there, Shkoyach. Right? He acts properly, he draws favor upon himself, and his tefillos, he's asking from Hashem, give me this, give me that, right? Give me, right? He's asking that, but if he has no favor in his words, so what? You're another guy who's asking, give me. But when you have favor, you find grace. So we need the Torah. Torah wasn't given until Shavuos, 50 days later. And yet the Jews were granted chaim when we left Egypt. We had chaim. What is the value of chaim? It's made up of two letters in Hebrew, a ches and a nun. Okay? The ches, if you pronounce it, it's like the word chiyut, life. It's life-giving. That's a ches. The ches is life-giving. Nun is a lashon, a word that denotes malchus, royalty, authority. Okay, and now we'll explain that. Ches, chiyus, where do we get it from? Where do we get life from? A life force that we live with, right? It comes, in the Kabbalah, it comes from a level called Abba, Chochmah, right? As Koheles says, HaChochmah techaya es ba'aleha. Wisdom will bring life to the one who possesses it, right? So that wisdom is life. Wisdom, basically the Torah. But Chochmah is a very, very high level. In a certain sense, it's the highest level in the spheroids, in the energies, the 10 energies of the Kabbalah. Nun, on the other hand, denotes Malchus, authority. Right? Lifnei Shemesh Yinon Shemo. Before the sun, this is in chapter 72 in Tehillim, David HaMelech says, before the sun, right, his name will spread out as a king. So Nun represents Malchus. That's the lowest of the spheroids according to the Kabbalah. The very lowest level, right? A person wants wisdom. We all want to be smart, right? Smart aleck, but you want to be smart, right? But you can't get to wisdom because it's a very bright light. Wisdom really is guy's brilliant. It's a brilliant light, right? You have to start off small. You have to start off with nun, with a little bit of authority. What is authority? Well, I want that extra piece of cake. I want to indulge in something else, whatever the case may be, and it's not really good for me. I exercise authority over my Yetzer Hara, over my inclinations. I exercise it, and I have authority. Now that I have authority, I have a receptacle with which to receive the wisdom that's waiting beyond that authority. Is this clear so far? Yeah? Clear? Okay. So what we have, the word chaim, is made up of wisdom and it's made up of authority. When you have authority, for instance, you have a child in the house, you want the child to listen to you. You have the wisdom, you're the parent. And you have a child that you want to listen to you, right? You have to exercise your authority, right? When you put the two of them together, you have grace. Oh yeah, mommy is right, daddy is right, whatever. Or as they say, a joke, a 17-year-old kid, 22-year-old kid says, when I was 17, I couldn't believe my father was so stupid. Now that I'm 22, it's amazing how much my father learned in the last 5 years. There's such a joke told, whatever the case is, but the parents, really have that wisdom, this experience, whatever it is. This is what the idea of Sephira, counting the Sephira, is all about, right? Let's take it step by step. Sephira means to count, okay? We start with the mitzvah, day after Pesach, day after the first day of Pesach, and we start counting. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, go all the way up to 49. Why is that? There are 7 days in a week. There are 7 weeks in the Sephira. There are 7 years in a Shemitah, a sabbatical year, right? There are 7 Shemitos in the Jubilee year, in the Yovel. 7 is an amazing number. Why? Why is 7 so great? In the Kabbalah, there are 7 lower sphirot, 7 lower energies. Chesed, kindness, Gvura, strength, Tiferes, beauty, Netzach, victory, Hod is empathy, Yesod is foundation, and Malchus. Malchus, we mentioned earlier, is the authority. It's the lowest of the sphere. We have to take our learning, our approach to Shavuos, our approach to Chochmah, we have to take it step by step, right? Now, each Sphira, and this is not that complicated, don't get nervous, whatever, but each Sphira is comprised of the other 6 spheres, so that each one has 7. If you take a look in your Siddur, right, this is not something that's just hidden away in the Kabbalistic books, but it's in your Siddur, right? Sphira to Omer, you count the Omer, right? It says the first night is called Chesed Shebechesed. It's in the Siddur. The next week is Gevura. The next week is Tiferet, whatever. Point is that in Chesed there are 7 levels too. In Gevura there are 7 levels too. In Tiferet 7, and so on. So that every step there's a sub-step. There's an extra step that I have to take. Little by little, I can grow with that power of the Sphira. I can grow with the power of the day. Tonight, we didn't count yet, but tonight on the calendar is called Tiferes Shebi Yesod, the beauty of a foundation. Foundation is what I live upon. Foundation, my house is built on a foundation. My life is built on what foundation? What foundation have I planted, have I made my life built on, right? Foundation. Tonight is the beauty of the foundation. I have to think about what my foundation is, and I have to think about the beauty of what I was given. The Torah, Yiddishkeit, I was given something. If you don't think it's beauty, well, then all you have to do is take a look at the world news, right? Just take a look at the world, what goes on in the world, what goes on with all the people, what goes on in all the different cities. I understand Chicago usually has quite a large number of murders every weekend and stuff like that, right? And that's the foundation you want, right? Right? Somebody told me he doesn't like Yiddishkeit many, many years ago, right? You know, look at the world today, the way it's going. I said, listen, this is the world that gave us the Germans. This is the world that gave us the French. This is the world that gave us all the other idiocies that exist in the world, right? That's the foundation you want. Go ahead. That's your choice. You choose what foundation you want. So you see that every step has a different way of counting for us, right? And every day is different. Notice, every day is different. No 2 days are the same. No 2 days are alike in our lives, right? It may be similar, but it's not the same. Every day changes. My situation changes, my finances change, my food changes, my encounters change. Everything changes every single day. So we have to count. We have to make sure. Rebbe Nachman of Breslov, on this lesson that we mentioned from Rebbe Nachman, explains that the beauty of Sphira is to teach us that every single day has tremendous worth, and every single day in our lives counts. There are days we get off the bed on the right side, and there are days we don't want to get off the bed, or if we do, we get off on the wrong side. Oh no, this day is gone. This day is wasted. Not true. Not true. Every day counts. Every day has something good in it. The Zohar teaches that every day has its own constrictions, and every day has its own expansions, right? Some are more, some are less, right? Do you ever find yourself in a situation with a constricted consciousness, right? Just, I can't get it together today. There are other days when everything works. Anyone know what biorhythms are? No? It's a scientific thing about the body, whatever. But there are days that things go up and things go down and whatnot. So there are certain days of the month when everything gets together and everything works out perfect. And then there are days during each month, it's a monthly cycle, that the day doesn't work out, right? We have things like that. This is a simple thing. By the way, the Arizal you have in the Shara Gugulim talks about he assigned his students certain days. He told them which days that their powers, their biorhythms will be in sync, so that they'll be able to accomplish. Your day is whatever day it is. It's a 30th of the month, 7th of the month, whatever. Your day is this. Understand that this day you have tremendous power. Use it, utilize it to the nth degree, right? I'm fond of saying that Rebbe Nachman addresses the other 29 days of the month, right? Rebbe Nachman shows us how in all the different days, even when it's not working out, you could always accomplish something. That's what Sphira is meant to teach us. Every day, this may be a horrible day, maybe a day I don't feel like doing anything, right? Or it's one of those, what they call CBB days, can't be bothered, right? That's what they call it. They have, the alphabet is great. You can make anything you want out of the alphabet. But anyway, it's the latest thing called can't be bothered. So, no. Rebbe Nachman is teaching us, Rebbe Nachman writes about it at length. It's not that way. You have power in this day, even if things are not working out. You can do something good. You can do something constructive with your life. You could say an extra chapter of Tehillim. You could utter a short prayer, right? You could learn something. You can give a kind word, a word of encouragement to somebody, anybody. You could always do something like that. That's what Sphira is all about. Another translation of the word Sphira is from the word sapir, which means to shine, to illumine. It's the same root word, and the Sphira is telling us that you could illumine your lives. Literally illuminate. By going step by step. I don't have to fulfill the entire Torah at once. Fact is, you can't, because one day is Yom Kippur, one day is Sukkot, one day is Pesach, so you can't fulfill it all at the same time anyway, right? What is important is to know that you can fulfill whatever is possible for you to fulfill, right? That's what we started off. The whole Torah was given to us on Shavuos, that we should be able to make the connection to Hashem, right? We do a mitzvah. Mitzvah shares the root word of tzevet, of joining together, right? Because every mitzvah that we do, a small one, a big one, whatever, but every mitzvah is meant to bind us with Hashem, right? The Gemara, the Medrash, the Zohar, they all use the word mitzvah as an appellation to the Shekhinah, to Hashem's presence. You do a mitzvah, you have attached yourself to Hashem, you have drawn Hashem into your life. And as Sphira denotes, it counts. It counts. Every little thing I do, it counts. So the idea of Shavuos is to accept the Torah. The Torah, there's a verse in Numbers 19, in Bamidbar, Zois Chukas HaTorah. This is the laws of the Torah, right? There's a verse there that says, Odom kiyomus ba'oil, Zois HaTorah, Odom kiyomus ba'oil. This is the Torah, man, and then whatever it says afterwards. Because the Torah, fulfilling the Torah, makes the person a human being. Zos HaTorah, why? You're attached to Hashem. Every little mitzvah, every word of encouragement that I give is attaching me not just to the person I give the encouragement, but to Hashem himself. I become part of Hashem. Hashem becomes part of me. This is in essence the idea behind Sphira. We have to learn to count. Count what? Count every little thing that we do, right? We are supposed to be responsible human beings. We're supposed to be anyway, right? Not necessarily it's true, but it's we try, right? And therefore, everything we do counts. The Mishnah in Kedushin, Mishnah says, a person should always see himself as half righteous and half guilty, right? If he does one mitzvah, and not just himself actually, the Mishnah says himself and the entire world. So that if I do one mitzvah, I'm already on the side of merit. I'm already the side of merit. If I do something wrong, I've taken not only myself into the side of guilt, but I've brought the entire world into this. Me. The Mishnah is talking about every single person has to say, me. I'm the one. I'm the one that could really change the world. Can I? Am I that powerful? Yes! You are that powerful. You have, it's not your business what goes on in the world, believe me. Hashem runs the world. You didn't start the war in Ukraine now, right? You didn't take care of all the other problems with Venezuela, with the oil, with the shipping, with, you didn't cause all that. Yeah, or maybe we did something wrong, I don't know. But we didn't cause that, right? Hashem runs the world. He decides this is what's going to happen now, this is what's going to happen later. Our job, or should we say our mission, if you wish to accept it, right, is do the right thing. That's all. Try and do the right thing. Try. We don't always succeed, right? We said every day has constrictions. We try, doesn't work, right? Sometimes we try and it does work. It's up to us to take ourselves and push ourselves into the side of merit. So every day counts. Every day we're supposed to look at ourselves, take an accounting, right? It's an IRS season, no, they passed that already, yeah. The corporations, they have till May 15th or something, right? Okay, yeah, we have an accountant, whatever. But the accounting has to be done. Sometimes it's done every day, sometimes it's done every month, every year, but an accounting has to be taken. It's up to us. Sphira means to count. Count what we have, count our liabilities, count our merits, count the good things that we've done in life. One of the major teachings of Rebbe Nachman is Azamra. Azamra, the word means I will sing. And he goes on to explain. The Mishnah says, Pirkei Avos, Evidon es kol odom l'kav schus. Judge every person favorably. Right? Rebbe Nachman says, you know what? It includes yourself too. Have you ever been hard on yourself? You idiot, look what you did now, you messed up again and whatnot. Did you ever do that? That's not the way to live. That's not the way you can live. You can't. You're down on yourself, you're always doing something wrong, well, what's the sense of life? Right? No. Rebbe Nachman says, judge yourself favorably every single day. But how much did I really do good? How much of my life was spent doing good? Rebbe Nachman says, you did good. You did good. You just have to look for it. Search for it. Bring it to the forefront, right? It's in the recesses of your memory, but that's not enough. You have to bring it to the forefront. I have to face each day, I will sing to Hashem. With what? Azamro le'elokai be'oidi. I will sing to, we say it in davening every morning, Psalms 146, right? Azamro le'elokai be'oidi. I will sing to Hashem with my little bit, that little bit of good that I have, the little bit that I can find. That's what I will focus upon during my life. If I take the good that I did during my life and I focus upon it, I have good. I'm not that bad after all, right? I can scale the world. I can put the world on a scale in the side of merit, because I have merit. I did something meritorious, right? And I can now go forward in life, right? Build upon yourself. Count. Make sure that the sphere counts all the good things that you did in life. Is there anyone here that wants to tell me they didn't do anything good? No, even if you didn't, you don't want to tell me, right? But yeah, we all did good. We all did very good. We all did a lot of good, right? If I ate kosher, if I fasted Yom Kippur, if I heard the shofar, whatever it may be, everything, every little bit. I have children, I raised them, I did what I could, right? I fed them, right? You have to feed them, so on and so forth. So what we're talking about is the power of a human being. The power of a human being, that's what the sphere is all about, right? The Arizal explains that it's like when we went out of Egypt, we were like infants. Infants, right? What could an infant do? Zero, right? You can't feed it, and it can maybe defecate, but what else does an infant do? Cry? Okay. But what does an infant do? Right? And you have to wait for the child, when it's born, that the blood should be absorbed into the body. Right? The blood is there, right? But it's not fully developed. It has to develop. That's what the time of Sphira is all about. It's a period of gestation, an infant that's born, until Shavuos, when we receive the Torah, when we become like an adult. And that's the power of the Sphira. We have to realize we're going through a process of growth. Right? I counted one day, I counted two. I'm counting, I'm getting somewhere. How can I make it really count? By finding the good that I have in me. Right? B'nai Yisrael, the Jewish nation, is such an amazing nation, where we're 2,000 years in exile. HaChaim, we've been kicked around from place to place, literally kicked around from place to place. Right? If you know Jewish history, you can't believe that we survived, but we survived. Yankov Emden lived about 300 years ago, said we saw many miracles. The splitting of the sea, the 10 plagues, there were miracles in the times of the judges, of the prophets, right? He says, as far as I'm concerned, the miracle of Jewish survival, one sheep among 70 wolves, is the greatest miracle of all. Think about it. Where we've been, what's happened, the Holocaust was not the last one, was not the only one. They had the Khmelnytsky massacres in the 1640s. They had the pogroms in Eastern Europe 150 years ago. You had the Crusades, right? The Pope, it's amazing, right? Is how can we leave the Holy Land in the hands of the Muslim infidels, right? The Catholic Church said that, right? So what did they do? They hired an army, they rampaged through Europe, and they killed Jewish communities, right? You can't leave it by the Muslim, but you can kill all the Jewish communities, and they wiped out hundreds of thousands of Jews during the Crusades. So where are we today? We're still on top of the world. Everyone has complaints against Israel. Everyone. Every nation in the world, there's always a movement. Why? Because a little tiny nation, right? A little tiny nation is now a world power. As far as the army is concerned, as far as the high tech is concerned, the medical field, the agriculture, you name it, what goes on in it. Why is that? Because Hashem told the Nevi'im, tell the Jews that before Moshiach comes, they're going to go back to their land and they're going to rebuild their land. They're going to rebuild it. And you see it happening, right? Now, in all our history, did we ever see the nation support us or go against us? So we have it again today. It's the same thing. Nothing has changed on that end. But what has changed is that we are on the ascendancy. Why? Look at the good. Look at the good. That's what Rebbe Nachman is teaching. Look at the good that we have. Look what we've produced. Look what we have accomplished in our lives, right? This is this kind of a nation, right? So, Sphira is meant to teach us the powers that we have. Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, all the different energies. These are heavenly energies. These are spiritual energies. And they can translate into our lives. All by us taking the good that we have and being able to translate it into something positive for our lives, our families, husbands, wives, children, community, and so on. We have that power. That is the power of Sphira, and that all comes to us when we accept the Torah, we accept the Shavuos, right? The Rizal explains that whenever a holiday comes, whatever happened thousands of years ago happens again today. Hanukkah, the miracle of Hanukkah happens every year. The miracle of Purim, the miracle of Pesach, and the miracle of Shavuos, which is supposed to come in just a couple of weeks, right? The receiving of the Torah, we're given an opportunity to renew ourselves. And that's another important lesson that Rebbe Nachman always speaks about, renewal, right? Are you the same old person you were yesterday? You had no growth? You didn't do anything special yesterday to make you better than you were the day before? Is that the way we live our lives? Right? Day after day after day. Right? A rut? We're in a rut? No. And renew yourselves. Frankly, personally, I always thought it was easier to renew ourselves when we're younger. You have more strength, you have more koyach, whatever the case is. Now that I'm in my 70s, right, I find that it's easier to renew myself every single day. I simply forgot what happened yesterday. But whatever the story is, renewal, Rebbe Nachman teaches, is an amazing power. Just start again. Well, you did wrong. You messed up. You made a mistake. So does 7 billion people on the planet. Right? They also did. What makes you special in that? What makes you special is when you take yourself and you renew yourself. You make yourself a new person. You say, today I'm starting fresh. Today I'm starting anew. And that's the power of Shavuos. We renew ourselves, and Kabbalistically, on Shavuos, there are revealed, we mentioned 7 energies. On Shavuos, there were 3 higher and greater energies that are given to us. We could receive on Shavuos a greater energy, a greater power, more than what we had the entire 7 weeks of the Sphere. Right? So let's take it upon ourselves to make ourselves better human beings, finding the good, right? I could always find something good that I did, right? I made a blessing. That's good. I thanked Hashem, even if I didn't make a blessing. I just said, thank you, Hashem. I recognized that Hashem was there for me. Hashem helped me. Thank you, Hashem. That's also very good, right? It brings Hashem into your life. It's a mitzvah. It attaches you to Hashem, right? Imagine if we were aware of Hashem 24/7. It would be a very different type of life. But we get caught up. Okay, we get caught up. But renew ourselves. Renew ourselves. Make ourselves new people every day, and you'll see wonders. Should we go further, or any questions? Any questions? Feel free. About this topic, about anything else?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
You said that
Can you speak louder? Not only do I get old, I get a little deaf too.
You mentioned that Sephira is related to the Shor Sapir, which means to illumine.
It's related to?
Illumine.
Yeah.
Is it also related to Sapir, the sapphire?
Evan Sapir, there is a sapphire. Yeah, it's also related to that, but I'll give you another connection, okay? In Hebrew, the word for boundary,
Gavul?
border, is sfar.
Not gavul.
Huh?
Not gavul.
Gavul is also, but there's cities, Shulchan Aruch Gemara talks about cities that sit on the sfar, they sit on the border, right? Sphira also teaches us that there are borders in life, right? We can do what we can do, we can't do what we can't do. There are borders, boundaries in life. Sphira teaches us that too.
Thank you.
That there are boundaries. Not everything could we do, right? You just think of what you would like to do, and you can't do it, right?
What does it mean that Kabbalah Satira starts from Purim?
Louder.
What does it mean that Kabbalah Satira starts from Purim? How do we get back to Purim now?
Oh, Because 30 days before Yontif, you're supposed to start studying the laws of Yontif. Why is that? Because 30 days before that Yontif, the illumination and the energy of that Yontif is already coming into the world. So that Purim is 30 days before Pesach. Exactly 30 days. Right? And therefore, the light of Pesach, the salvation of Pesach, begins on Purim. Okay?
So
And that's why everything starts from Purim.
So how does Purim relate to Kabbalah Torah, to Shavuos?
In Purim, in the Megillah, it says, Kimu v'kiblu ha-Yehudim. The Jews accepted and re-accepted the Torah. Right? The Gemara says that when the Shavuos, when Hashem gave the Torah to the Jews, he uprooted a mountain, he held it over them, and he says, accept the Torah. Right? So the Gemara says, we were forced into it. Right? The Gemara says that if it's a Gemara in Shabbos, if a person, wants, he can say, listen, you forced me to accept the Torah. I didn't ask for it. Right? In the Megillah, on Purim, it says, Kimu v'kiblu. They did both. They accepted and they re-accepted. In other words, I have no mountain hanging over my head anymore. Right? It's up to me to accept. And I accepted. So in the time of Purim, we accepted the Torah. So Shavuos, Purim is like Shavuos.
So according to that, it should come after Shavuos.
Huh?
It should come after Shavuos. How is Purim a hakdama
Yeah,
to
but
Shavuos?
because we know beforehand that Hashem runs the world and He's going to make things happen in its right time. Right? Nothing ever happens by chance. Nothing. Right? We're living in a generation today, it's amazing. I'm surprised the world still exists. Right? There are people out there, they're doing what they did in the generation of the flood. Right? The only reason there's no flood is because Hashem swore He won't bring a flood. But otherwise, today the generation is engaged in everything. You ever hear of the LGBT movement? Yeah? You never heard of it? You're shrecha, unfortunately. Whatever. But they're forcing everybody to accept it. This is what took place in the generation of the flood. They're forcing people to accept it. You can't say a word against it. There was a kid in Vermont, he was on the football team. He mentioned there are two genders. Two genders. He was kicked off the football team. He wasn't sensitive. Right? You have to understand the world is crazy. Russia invades Ukraine. What for? Right? 3 days we're going to destroy Ukraine. It's 3 months. They haven't gone anywhere. What's happening? The Arabs in Israel now have an uprising that they never had all the years. They're going crazy. Right? Last Shabbos, an Arab kid was overdosed. They brought him into Hadassah Hospital. And they tried to save his life. But he died anyway. So what they did was destroy equipment and they rioted in the ward. Who does that? Right? They were trying to save him. They brought him to Hadassah. You could have brought him to the Arab hospital. Right? No. But they destroyed equipment in Hadassah Hospital. Right? It's crazy what's going on. Right? All because the government took Arabs into be part of the coalition. That's, by the way, right? Nothing to do with reality, because they're not real. But the point is that you have a world that's out of control. Literally out of control. Right? What goes on all over, right, is not something that, I grew up in the 50s, the 60s, right? The 60s is when things began to go out of control, right? That's when the college kids, if anyone nobody here looks old enough to remember, but Columbia, no, don't say that, no one has to know how old you are, right? But Columbia University, and the Ivy League, right? In California and all the, they rioted. The kids started on drugs. And now you have college, right? That's when they started what they call open admissions. You know what open admissions is? Anyone who wants can go to college. Of course, at that time, kids were reading on an 8th grade level. So they had to institute in college remedial reading. So to teach the kid how to read, so that when he goes into college to take a course, he could read, right? It's insane. But look what you have on college today. Look what goes on the campuses today. It's wild. There's nothing normal that happens in college today. They have a course you can take for credits, right? It's called leisure studies. How to spend your vacation. It's a collegiate course. You get credit towards your degree, whatever it is. A BA, an MA, a PhD, or who knows what, right? It's insane. The world is insane today. Literally insane, right? And then for this, the parents pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in tuition for the kids to get on campus and rebel against everything, right? The Palestinians run the campuses now, right? They run the campuses. And every campus, if there's anything Jewish, it's shut down, right? The Palestinians, what are they doing here, right? The world is insane, right? It's your job, my job, everyone's job, to look for sanity in an insane world and to try and find the good in every single day. And every single day has good. Every single day has something positive. You have to find it. Sometimes it's apparent. Sometimes you really have to look for it. But it's there. You could find it. You could make a difference. Every mitzvah you do balances the world in the scale of merit. Every mitzvah you do, no matter what that mitzvah is, right? Some smaller, some are heavier, some weigh a pound, some weigh, you want to hear a cute story, right? You understand the value of weight, right? Many years ago, I read the story. There was a fellow walking through his town in Europe, and he met two people, two guests in town. They ended up there Erev Sukkot. They had nowhere to go. They see this Jew running in the street. They ask him, "Hi, we're strangers in town. We just arrived. Is there any place that we could stay? Maybe we could stay with you for Pesach, for Sukkot. Maybe we could stay with you." The man stops for a minute. He thinks, "Okay, come to me." So he brought them to a sukkah. They're sitting the night of Yontif in the sukkah, and the man, the host, doesn't look really happy. So they look at him. They say, "Well, what's the matter? Is anything wrong?" He says, "Well, I'll tell you. You saw me running in this street. I'm a tailor. All my children were married. I finally had enough money I saved up during the year so I could buy my own individual esrog. They used to have a community esrog, right? So I can buy my own esrog. I was running to buy that esrog, and you guys stopped me in the street. You don't have where to go? Okay, I'll take you in as guests. But I still feel a little bit bad that I'm missing out on my individual esrog this year." So they said to him, listen carefully. First of all, we have a lulav and esrog. You can have it. It'll be yours. We thank you for bringing us in. It'll be yours. You can have your individual lulav esrog. But let me ask you a question, right? You're going up to heaven after 120, and they're going to put all the mitzvahs you did on a scale, right? Think about it. How much does an esrog weigh? A pound? Right? Not even, huh? Maybe a pound. Big esrog, a pound. Compare that to hachnosus orchim, taking in guests, 200-pound guests, right? Imagine how that goes on the scale, right? So, every mitzvah, some are more, some are less, but every mitzvah counts. Every mitzvah goes on the scale. Isn't that a cute story? Right? All right? Think about it, what it does. And that's our mission in life. I'd like,
Can I ask one more question?
yeah.
Okay. You said during the spheros, as we're counting the days, we count each sphera, chesed, shavah, chesed, and so on. And that when it comes to Shavuos, that we can access the three higher spheros, Keser, Chochmah, and Bina. So how do we fully actualize attaining that Keser? Is that solely through Kabbalah Satorah? How do we, because that is so much above us.
Yes. The Keser is the highest of the spheres. It's a crown that sits above. It's called Keser, it's called a crown that sits above the head, above the array of spheres. And it's revealed to us on Shavuos, and that's why we study Torah, that's why we accept the Torah on Shavuos. And we accept that, we're accepting the crown. It's called in the Mishnah Keser Torah, the crown of Torah, right? We accept it. We accept the Torah. We're celebrating the festival of Shavuos, right? We're accepting it, and we have now access to the Keser. Okay? I'd like to introduce you to a sefer that we're printing now. It's not ready, it's on the press. Right? It's called the 50th Gate, which is apropos for Shavuos, right? This is a book, it's called the Likutei Tefillot, the collected prayers of Rebbe Nachman of Breslov. Rebbe Nachman took the Likutei MoHaRan, Rebbe Nachman's major work, and he developed prayers, how to fulfill each of those lessons. That's the essence of the book, The 50th Gate. It's coming out now in 4 volumes. These volumes are not the real size. The real size will be a lot thinner. We just did this temporarily just to get something to show as a sample. It'll be used very much thinner paper. It'll come out about half the size of what you see now. The prayers cover every topic in life. Anything you can think about, Rebbe Nachman wrote a prayer about it. How to achieve this, how to attain this, how to have anger management, how to be humble, right? How to get rid of excess desires, extraneous desires that are not necessary, how to control yourself, how to access greater levels of HaChaim, and so on and so forth. Everything is there in these prayers. We are now printing them. We're going to press with them. You can dedicate, if you wish, a prayer. That prayer will have your name. We're not selling it to different people. Each prayer has a different donor, and a person could pick it up, and it's yours. Anyone who says that prayer afterwards, it's on your merit. If anyone around the world, here, South Africa, Australia, South America, Europe, wherever, if they say the prayer, it's the prayer you donated, you were the benefactor, it's on your credit. After 120, here's something cute to know, right? After 120, they put all our good deeds on the scale, and then they weigh the other stuff. And not always is it encouraging. Not always. Sometimes, yeah, but not always, right? But then they announce, is there anyone that has something good to say about this person? And all of a sudden, tens, hundreds, thousands, myriads, millions of mitzvahs come along, and they go on your scale of merit. And it's a pasuk in Yeshaya. Mi yolad li yasela. Who gave birth to all this? I never did it. I didn't do these mitzvahs, right? Eila mi gidel. Who raised all these mitzvahs? Eila efoy heim. How did they come here, right? And the answer is, if you got somebody else to do a mitzvah, that mitzvah is also credited to you. It goes on your scale of merit after 120. It's all yours. All yours. Whatever that other person does, right, it's on your merit. It's an amazing thing. The Svarim will bring this. And this is what we have. You have here a flyer to help you if you want. You can join us, help us bring this to fruition, right? If you can. You can, you can't, you can't. What can I tell you? I don't control your wallet, right? But yes, you can have a mitzvah, you can join us, and you'll bring a benefit to the entire world, not just to yourself. Okay? I wish all of you a very Freilich Shavuos. All of you have very Kabbalah Torah, right? We should all be zoichet, do the right thing. Amen. Okay? Any questions?
I heard
You
that,
have to speak a little louder.
I heard that Rabbi Natan and
Rabbi,
Awesome.
Nassam,
Yeah.
Rabbi Nassam and Rebbe Nachman are riding in a coach and
you wrote? I don't hear very well, no really. It's
they were riding in a coach and Rabbi Nassam asked Rabbi Nachman when Mashiach will come. And he said when, and this was in 1803, 1802, something like that, that when flying ships that hold 500 people can fly around the world, that's when Mashiach will come. Did you ever hear that story before?
not like that.
Okay.
Different. Rebbe Nachman said then, Rebbe Nachman had a Talmud, Rebbe Nosson and Rebbe Naftali. Rebbe Naftali is the one who gave over this talk, and he said, there will come a time when there'll be a machine that a person in Chutz La'aretz will want to pour out his heart to Mashiach, tell him all his troubles, right? But he's in Chutz La'aretz. Mashiach is in Eretz Yisrael. There'll be a machine that will be able to carry him from diaspora to Eretz Yisrael, and he'll be able to speak to Mashiach and get back to his country in time for Shema in the morning. So we have it now. We have the ballistic, the interballistic planes, I forgot what they call them, right? But they have something like that, yes. There is such a tradition from Rebbe Nachman. And this I heard before they had the Concorde, before they had the supersonic planes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any questions? Feel free. Anything, any subject. No? Okay, I wish you all a great Yantif. Thank you all for coming. May Hashem bless you all with everything good, this world and the next.
So may it be for you.